so we might miss the goal. It's true. Yes, we have a very aggressive goal, and the likelihood of us hitting it is incredibly low, but why would we lower it? And they said to me, I don't like to fail, they said. I don't like to fail, and I know you don't either. And I said, that's where you're wrong. That's where you're wrong. I have spent most of my life a failure, and I'm very comfortable being a failure. And I think of myself not as a success. I think of myself as a failure. And that's because my ambitions are bigger than my skills or my ability to achieve those ambitions. And so almost everything I've done, with a couple of exceptions, have fallen short of what I had hoped for. I'm very comfortable with that. Because failing at 80% is really much better than succeeding at 30%. And I think this idea of fear of failure and embracing failure, I don't want to fail, but I think it's important to have dreams that are beyond your skills or your resources, because that's where creativity comes from. That's where resourcefulness comes from. When you go, how am I going to figure this one out? And you told me the stories of your own team. It's the resourceful ones. And now we go back to AI. AI is not going to figure that out, right? There's data on this. I've actually never thought about this. This is good. There was a book called, it was The Wisdom of Crowds. I think it was that one. I think it was The Wisdom of Crowds by James Surowiecki, where people with experience knew what to do versus people who were just trained. So I'll give you the example. And again, I might have the book wrong, but I remember the case. So there was a bunch of firemen fighting a fire in wildfires, right? And the wind picked up and the fire was coming really fast towards these firemen. True story. And they all started running for their lives as this fire was approaching them unbelievably quickly. But the problem was, if they looked ahead, there was a small hill, which means you're going to slow down because you can't run fast up a hill. And this fire is coming fast, right? The senior guy on the team started screaming, "Get down, get down, get down." And they all ignored him. They were all running for their lives. And he just stopped running and got down and put his hands over his head and just lay in a ball. And the fire was going so fast that it blew right over him. And it caught up with the other guys and burned them all to death. Now, they didn't teach them that in fire school. It was accumulated knowledge of wisdom that came from experience, that he knew the right thing to do in the moment. He was able to read the tea leaves in a way, and his gut, whatever that means, his gut said the right thing to do is to drop down, you'll be okay. And this is why, I'm going to sound like a broken record, the importance of doing the work yourself, of writing the book, painting the painting, choreographing the dance, composing the symphony, building the business, having the difficult conversation, stumbling and bumbling, right? The reason for it, like, let's say you have a fight with your girlfriend. You don't want to be in a fight. You don't like being in a fight. You want to do the right thing. So you go to ChatGPT and you be like, my girlfriend and I had a fight. This is what the fight was about. Okay? I think I did some stuff wrong. I think she did some stuff wrong. This is exactly what happened. Tell me what to do. And you go, babe, I just want you to know I want to take full accountability. I'm really sad that this happened, and I want you to know that I care about this relationship. And she says to you, did you get this answer from ChatGPT? And you go, I did. How's that going to go? Right? Now, you did everything right. You did everything right. You did everything right. But for the fact, and it goes right back to what you said, which is it removed the humanity, it removed the personality, it's artificial, it's fake. It's everything you said about the job interview, it's everything you said about all those other things, about all the resumes, all of the pitch decks. It's not you telling me sorry, it's ChatGPT telling me sorry. And even though you went with good intention to get it right, I would rather you get it wrong and bumble and fumble it with me and be like, babe, I don't know how to do this, I'm an asshole, and then she fights with you because you get it wrong and you rumble through it together. And what happens when you've had this happen, I know because I have, and I know everybody has. When you come out of the fight, you're closer. Mm-hmm. Not because you got it right, because you got it wrong. And if you learn the skill, and you get better and better and better and better, and you do learn the skill of saying the right thing, and you do learn the skill. She knew it wasn't because you asked AI in the moment because you just wanted to resolve the problem and remove the tension. It's because you learned the skill for the time that you don't know when it's going to happen because you're equipped for this relationship. Mm-hmm. And it's that investment in the relationship rather than trying to transactionally solve the problem before me. And that's the difference. Mm-hmm. It's infinite versus finite. It's transaction versus, it's destination versus journey. I'm in the journey of this relationship versus I have a destination. I got to solve this problem now. Otherwise, this is going to destroy my relationship. And all of this is coming full circle. And it comes right back to everything we started this. I think it's hilarious that you're having a conversation with me about AI, because I'm not an AI expert and I'm not in the AI business. But I am in the humanity business. And I think everything we're talking about from every angle, we're battle testing this idea. And what we can't get away from is human beings really want human beings. And human beings really want human experiences. And human beings really want things made by human beings. And we are not only okay with, we want imperfection. Because imperfection is the sign of human.
I was just thinking about how when I'm in an argument with my partner, if she was perfect, if she was completely composed, if she was looking at me without emotion, without expression, and if she was spewing ChatGPT-like responses back at me, it would be a little bit infuriating, but also it would be completely dehumanizing, as you say. And it's funny how actually, even in conflict, I want emotion, I want imperfection, I want human resonance. So it's interesting because I've been thinking about what my
struggle is a good thing.
Yeah.
And I think in our modern day and age, we have underappreciated and underrepresented the value of struggle. And if you ask anybody in their life, tell me about a time in your career where you felt like, boy, this is the most amazing thing I've ever done. I'm so glad I'm a part of this. It's not the big win. It's not the big success. It's not we finished everything on time and under budget. It's, oh my God, this one thing went horribly wrong. Oh my God, it went so badly. And yet the way we came together, the most important thing in my career was when I lost my passion and went into deep depression. Never want to go through that again. Really glad it happened. And all of our relationships, professional, personal, romantic, whatever they are, right? All of our relationships get better when we go through struggle together. And we know the way the human animal works. We know that oxytocin is released when you have shared struggle. That's why when you put people in boot camp and they go through shit together, or there's a natural disaster, all of a sudden, I don't care who you voted for. I saw your house blow down in the tornado. I got you. Don't worry, we're neighbors, right? We can put aside all the rational nonsense, the intellectual nonsense, and at the end of the day, human beings are good at helping human beings.
Struggle also, in many contexts, is the value. So when I think about a Simon Sinek book, the reason why I value it is because I know that Simon Sinek spent years writing that thing and pulling it together. The reason why certain handmade things that we talked about earlier are valuable is because of the pain and the toil that went into them. And when you think about the art world and other creations through history, the value comes from the fact that human beings came together for a prolonged period of time and did something. And actually the investment is the value. The amount that went in the top creates
We're not buying the product, we're buying the story.
Yeah. The Mona Lisa is...
You're not buying the Mona Lisa. You're not buying a piece of art. You're buying the story that goes with the art. The story that it took to create the art. What the artist was going through, what they were thinking. You're not buying my book. You're buying the story of the making of my book.
And the Mona Lisa was stolen, from what I understand.
I mean, we don't even know if the one in the Louvre is the real one.
Because I heard much of the reason why the Mona Lisa is so valuable is because at one point it was stolen and then they managed to find it again. And actually it's just a painting, but the story of the painting is worth 100 million, 200 million, whatever.
Whatever. I mean, and so this is what we forget. The reason famous artists are famous is because you buy the story of that artist, not their talent. There's a lot of famous singers and actors and painters, dancers, who are a lot less talented than the unknown ones, but you buy into the story. And this is why some celebrities, as much as they talk about the paparazzi and the tabloids, they want to be in the paparazzi and the tabloid. They want the paparazzi to follow them because it keeps their story relevant. It keeps them, they're worth more because they're in the zeitgeist.
Apple know this better than anybody, because you go to an Apple store and they've laid out their products as if it was an art gallery. The 3 feet either side of the iPhone create the impression in my mind that this is a piece of art and there's only one of them. And the fact that they've wasted all this space, which I know real estate costs money and that must have been expensive, pours into the device itself. If I'd gone into an Apple store and there was 1,000 iPhones, like the old electronic stops, all stacked on top of each other, I would assume the iPhone was worth less. But the story, just by the frame in which I see it, means that, oh my God, this thing is...
It's theater.
It looks like one of one.
Yeah, it's theater. And And some would call it manipulative, but we want things to feel valuable, not just be valuable, right? I could tell you I've got I found a guy who makes cashmere jerseys, and he uses the exact same cashmere as, Laura Piano, whatever, some fancy ass brand, But the problem is it says like Dave's Cashmere Shop, I could tell you everything about where he sources the cashmere, how he makes it, that's the same everything. And you'd be like, yeah, Dave's Cashmere Shop? Because you're not buying the cashmere, you're buying the brand. Yeah. You're buying the story, you're buying the association. That's why brands have value. Because it's irrational.
Yeah.
And humans are irrational. And that's why companies invest in building brands for the story. And so, yeah, I think I'm, as much as AI scares me, I still believe the thing that the technologists don't appreciate and won't appreciate, and there will be a rebellion, and handmade will become more valuable, and handmade will become more expensive, and people will want to say that. It's like, you had that person write your speech for you? Wait, who did the painting for you? They did it themselves? And I think that's good. It's a pendulum, right? We're going to get enamored with the technology until it's boring.
This also just expands generally. I know this sounds quite big and we're talking about these big things, but just everything that you create, it's very, very tempting at the moment to just create something with AI and throw it up on your website, on your social media pages, or present it to the world, a presentation deck at work. But actually, I'm already noticing I'm attributing huge value and interest in things that I can identify as human-made. I had a flashback a second ago as we were talking about this idea of scarcity to one of my favorite brands in the world. It's a clothing brand. And I was obsessed with this clothing brand. I'd spend a huge amount I don't spend money on clothes. I would spend a huge amount of money every time they came out with a new item. One day, the founder of the brand, and everybody knows this brand, he posted a photo from his factory. It was a video. And what I saw in the video was the shirt I was currently wearing as I watched the video in a massive bucket with 4,000 others of the exact same shirt. And in that moment,
Fell out of love.
I fell out of love.
Exactly.
Because in my head, I painted this like artisan picture of them sewing it. These two guys sewing it in their bedroom and then sending it to me.
It's probably what it was on the ad too.
I think that's what it kind of used to be. So I still had that image.
But it got too big. Yeah. The one thing that I've always understood, this is true for businesses, this is true for absolutely everything. Scale breaks things. Scale breaks things. In the military, they have special forces, special operating forces, Navy SEALs, SAS, all those folks, right? And there's a saying in the special forces that's basically special. You can't scale special, right? So you can take whatever training skills, whatever you have for the special forces, and you give it to everybody. It's not going to work. Special can only be small, and so scale breaks things. Scale always. I mean, like Microsoft versus Apple. Right? So Apple wanted the highest quality operating system in the world, right? So what did they do? They refused to clone, right? They wouldn't clone their operating system. And they as a result of refusing to do that, they never for years Apple had in the height of the PC wars, maybe 4% of the world's operating systems. Microsoft said, we're happy to clone our operating system. So it was a little bit different on Dell, it was a little bit different on IBM. Wherever you use it was slightly different. And they had 90-something% of the world's operating systems. It's because you have to trade quality for scale every time. There's a reason why buying fancy goods for a lot of money, because as you said, the way you make things has to change, and you have to start making them in factories, and you have to scale breaks companies. Think about how beautiful companies are. The number of companies that talk about, our company's like a family. Get to about 150 people, 200 people, get to Dunbar's number. Not so much of a family anymore.
I think B2B marketers keep making this mistake. They're chasing volume instead of quality. And when you try to be seen by more people instead of the right people, all you're doing is making noise, but that noise rarely shifts the needle, and it's often quite expensive. And I know, as there was a time in my career where I kept making this mistake, that many of you will be making it too. Eventually, I started posting ads on our show sponsors platform, LinkedIn, and that's when things started to change. I put that change down to a few critical things. One of them being that LinkedIn was then, and still is today, the platform where decision makers go to, not only to think and learn, but also to buy. And when you market your business there, you're putting it right in front of people who actually have the power to say yes. And you can target them by job title, industry, and company size. It's simply a sharper way to spend your marketing budget. And if you haven't tried it, how about this? Give LinkedIn ads a try, and I'm going to give you a $100 ad credit to get you started. If you visit linkedin.com/diary, you can claim that right now. That's linkedin.com/diary. Is it harder now to find love? Because there's lots of stats that say we're having less sex, we're lonelier than ever before. Interestingly, this is maybe an adjacent point, but I was looking at Bumble share price. I love the founder of Bumble, the CEO, is a really, really good friend of mine. I think she's amazing.
Whitney,
Yeah, I think she is amazing.
has she come on?
She has. And I know her, and she's a wonderful human being. But when I was looking at the Bumble share price, it painted a really interesting picture, because then you overlay that with some of these other dating apps, and you see, I mean, this is the...
Well, she's had to come back.
She's just come back in yet to turn the company around. And actually, interestingly, I saw her do an interview, which is one of these ones here. And in the interview, she says she's going to revamp Bumble to make it not about finding love with others, but falling in love with yourself.
Yeah.
And there's also going to be this dating marketplace, but her first objective is going to be get people to love themselves through coaching and all these kinds of things on the app, and then find a partner.
Sure. Yes. I mean, I agree with that. I mean, we're all broken records, right? I don't mean that as like we're all broken souls. Like, your customers will never love you until your employees love you first. You'll never find somebody to love you unless you love yourself first. And look at failed relationships, right? Where there's so much tension. It's somebody's lack of self-love that contributes to the failing of that relationship. I mean, I have a dear friend who's going through it right now. She just can't find love, and but it's because she doesn't love herself, and she knows that it's a hard thing to do. So if Bumble can crack that code, more power to them. But this is the problem with a lot of these things. They're common knowledge. We just don't do them. Everybody knows how to be healthy. Everybody knows how to exercise. Everybody knows what eating right means. Don't do it, because wrong is easier and right takes effort. Everybody knows what we're supposed to do in a relationship. Everybody knows that we're supposed to hold space. Everybody knows philosophically what we're supposed to do, but we don't do it. By the way, it's the reason why most people, I've written all these lovely books, and it's the reason why most companies don't use them. It's because my work is like exercise, which is I can tell you if you want to get into shape, hey Simon, how do I get into shape? Easy. Every single day, work out for 20 minutes. Every single day. Okay? Can I take the occasional day off? Yes, but not too many. Work out every single day, and 100% of you will get into shape. I know it, 100%. When? I don't know, and neither does any doctor. And that's my work. Yes, I can profoundly help you find purpose with Start With Why. I can help you build trust on a team with Leaders at Last. I can help you embrace the infinite mindset and have this incredible calm in life. And the reason most companies won't do it, this is a book for innovation right here. You want to innovate? Infinite Game. The reason most companies won't do it is because they need it to happen by the end of the quarter or the end of the financial year. It may or may not. I have no clue. And I cannot predict that it will or won't. It'll work 100%. I just don't know when. And the problem is, goes right back to the beginning of this conversation, we're all so obsessed with the output, we're all so obsessed with the result, that we've completely ignored the value of the journey. Yeah. And people would rather hit the number at the end of the year than build a good, strong company. Think about it, right? If I meet another entrepreneur, when I say, so tell me about your company, like, we're hyper-growth. We're a hyper-growth company. We're a gazelle, right? Like, show me, then I always say the same thing, because I'm an ass. Can you please give me one article from a reputable publication, just one, and I don't care the publication, that says that building a hypergrowth company is good for business? Just one. And the answer is you can't, because it's not. And so why we're so obsessed with high-speed growth? It's because our investors want us to be obsessed with high-speed growth, right? Or our egos want us to be obsessed with high-speed growth, right? And if high-speed growth happens by accident, that happens for many of the unicorns, right? It was an accident. I think building a good company is better than building a fast company. I think building a good relationship is better than building a fast relationship. And we're also obsessed with speed and immediate results, present company included. I've had to learn this the hard way, that I think there's something joyful and beautiful about slowing down, saying thank you, reprioritizing friends. It's okay. I mean, by the way, cell phones, but before cell phones, we went to work and then we went home. And we didn't do work at home because we couldn't do work at home. Yeah. Because we didn't have computers at home and we didn't have cell phones or people to call us. And so you did work at work and then you left. And I remember when cell phones started, I remember the advertising. AT&T had this campaign that they showed people working on the beach, you know, with their computers. Yeah. I mean, this is like the future, right? And they said, now, what was the tagline? It was really funny. It's like, now you can leave work, right? And that's not what happened. Work came with us. We never left work. Work came with us wherever. This is the problem with cell phones and computers and the internet, which is we do not leave work. Work is with us in our pocket every day, every vacation, every evening, every weekend.
As you said that, I thought, do you know what? That's so interesting because that kind of means that friction creates freedom in that regard, if you know what I'm saying. So the friction of not being able to go home and tap away on my computer all night meant that I had a certain level of freedom because I had to kind of wait for things, right? So in the same context with AI coming along, now I can build software throughout the weekend, whether the agency's working or not. Now I can build anything I want at any time using the phone in my pocket. So the friction has come down again. And therefore the pressure to do it now, because I can do it now, goes up. And this is kind of maybe what I was alluding to earlier on in the, when I was saying about how you're going to get more stressed and more overwhelmed and
that's good.
More isolated.
That's so good. That's so right. We're taking work with us. I mean, it's like, everybody has a story of like where the battery ran out on their phone and they ended up having the best night.
Yeah.
Or the internet went out at work and they actually got more done. Like you hear these stories all the time, that when we're forced not to take work with us, it takes a bit of time sometimes to relax, but it's always better because you learn to stop worrying, stop checking, and you just, one of the things I did, I can't delete Instagram completely as much as I'd love to, but I hid it. So, you can do that on iPhone. Yeah. You can take it off it's gone, it's hidden. Yep. It says hide app. And then when you go into the search, when you go search it, suggest, I took it off the suggestions, which most people don't even know you could do that. So I took it off the suggestions. So when I go because I realized what I was doing is I'm like, when I'm bored, I just pick up my phone and I just and then I see Instagram and I just click it like a zombie and then I'm done for an hour, So I hid it. So the only time I go to Instagram is when I have to go to it and I have to type in INST, and then it pops up. And my usage of Instagram has plummeted. Plummeted. Because it has to be intentional. And the problem with most social media is it's unintentional.